And I discovered that if you were a member of a membership organisation, on average, you turned over 8 times more than a business that wasn't a member of a membership organisation.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Marketing in the Madness. I really need to mix up how I introduce the podcast, to be fair, because every time I say the same thing. So I'm actually going to think about that over Christmas. Seeing as time-stamping this, I am recording mid-December 2024. And I have, as always, a fantastic. I mean, guys, I feel like today there's going to be a lot of conversation. I mean, how we're going to keep this under an hour, I have no idea. So with me today, a good friend of mine. I mean, gosh, we've got in all sorts of trouble together.
Well, I was trying to think how long it's been. And well, it was back when you first started at Redweb.
So that must be 2012, 12 years ago. 12 years?
Yeah. Okay.
So over 10 years.
I would have thought it was longer.
Would you? Yeah.
I feel like I've known you forever, Katie.
Oh, thanks, babe. Well, before we say too much, the lovely Matt, no, don't be sorry. Introduce yourself. Who are you? Who are you and where do you come from?
Matt Desmier. I am the Business Engagement and Knowledge Exchange Manager for the Faculty of Media and Communications at Bournemouth University. The worst, longest, most nonsensical business title in the world.
No, I quite like it.
I know, but it doesn't mean anything, right?
Well, it kind of represents you, though.
So I help businesses solve issues and exploit opportunities by selling them the expertise of our university.
Nice. That's a cool job.
Yeah, it is. It's a great job. It's a perfect job for me. I get to go into companies. I get to ask them lots and lots of questions, dig right down deep into what their day-to-day is, what their business is, and how we can improve it. And then I think of ways to improve it.
You're also at BIMA.
I'm also the South Coast representative for BIMA. I look after the new business roundtable, which I do with you. And I also look after the senior leaders roundtable. So once a month, myself and the wonderful Simon Harmer gather together a group of senior leaders from the agency world. In Chatham House rules, we talk about the day-to-day issues of running an agency.
I need to join one of those.
Yeah, you should. They are, honest to God, it's the best hour of my month.
Oh, I love that.
I love it because we have these free-ranging conversations and you find out that you're not in this alone. And that is one of the biggest hurdles, I suppose, in the current economic climate that agency bosses have got. That they're all pushing treacle uphill, that they're all wading through the mire and struggling. And it's been a tough 18 to 24 months. And then you get in a room or a Zoom conversation and you realize that other people, you're not the only one experiencing this, and it sort of beats down your imposter syndrome, and you share ways and means of solving those things. It's really cathartic.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's what I love about communities like BIMA.
Yeah.
Or membership.
Yeah.
Businesses. In fact, that's probably a very good thing. What is BIMA? Because they've changed their positioning in the last year.
Oh no, now I'm going to be in trouble.
You're not going to know it.
I don't know it.
I was actually in the sounding board. So BIMA, for those of you that don't know, BIMA originally stood for the British Interactive Media Association.
Yes.
They were kind of known as like one of the governing body for digital.
Yeah, they're the longest established trade association for digital organisations in the UK. So they're I think it's their 40th anniversary next year.
Wow.
So, they've been around a long time. They've done an awful lot of good stuff. They run the BIMA 100s that celebrates all the great talent. They run the BIMA Awards, which celebrates all of the great talent. They do conferences and events. They run a series of councils that are specialists to help agencies understand the new and emerging technologies, the different ways of selling, how to do new business, getting leaders together. They run some mentorship programs for new talent. It's a phenomenal It's a phenomenal organisation.
It really
that
is.
doesn't get the credit it deserves.
And Mariana, our production assistant in the background,
Wonderful production
I
assistant.
need to get her into BIMA because we're members and we're not utilising it as much as we should. So.
And I think that's the problem with, not the problem, the issue that most agencies or businesses face when they join a membership organisation is they see it as an expense. I'm paying a monthly fee and I didn't get anything out of it. And then you ask them what they did.
Yeah,
you're like,
did
well, I
nothing.
didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I didn't turn up to anything. I didn't go. You've run all of these wonderful events, all of these wonderful round tables, and I didn't go to any of them. This membership's just not working for me.
Yeah, I know. But it's the same with anything in life. You know, I'm always talking about this. It's the same with anything in life. Like what you get out, what you put in.
So back in around, well, it would have been started in 2012. I spent 5 years, and annually I surveyed 200 agencies, and I asked them 13 questions, and it was about what they did, where they were based. This was all around the Bournemouth area on the south coast of the UK. And I discovered that if you were a member of a membership organisation, on average, you turned over 8 times more than a business that wasn't a member of a membership organisation. And it was because the ones that make the effort and join it, it changes the mindset of the agency. It changes the mindset of the agency owner. I'm investing in this. I'm going to squeeze every ounce out of it. And it helps you grow your agency better.
Love that.
The other interesting one, and this is about awards. So with the same survey, I discovered on average, so there's always outliers, but on average, if you enter awards, you will turn over 7 times more than those that don't. And again, it's not because you often think, and I rail against being an award-winning agency. Everyone's an award-winning agency this day and age. But what it does is when you enter awards, you think about your work differently. You think about how you talk about your work differently. You think about how you pitch your work differently, and it brings the morale back into the organization. It's not about a stamp saying we've won awards, you should work with us. It's a stamp that says we care about our people, we care about our work, and we understand the impact of our work, and we can have that impact for your business. So awards are also big champion of those.
Yeah, me too. I think you're totally, and also it makes you results focused. Like
yeah.
You've got, in order to win, you've got to have fantastic results. So it really makes you think about whenever you're delivering a project, what are the results I'm trying to create?
What are the results I'm trying to do? How am I going to measure that? How I'm measuring it as a supplier, as an agency, impact the business and what they want to achieve? Because ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're selling a service to a business that wants to sell more stuff to people. So I might measure it one way, and my awards might measure it one way, but they want to know something else, and it changes the way you think about and talk about your work.
Love this.
This is the world's longest introduction.
I know, but do you know what? This is what I love. You're like me. I'm like, oh, I've got so much to say.
It's because you're giving me coffee and I drink tea.
I know, but this is exactly what I want today to be about. So probably slightly less structured podcast than usual, but that's the fun of it. And there's a few things that I want to dig into with you. So you are a prolific LinkedIn commenter, conversation starter, challenger, which I love about you because for me...
Which is fortunate, right?
Yeah, and we're actually... Matt commented on one of my posts this week, which we're going to unpack in a minute, as that's going to be one of our conversation starters. But I think that is a huge... probably a big part of the podcast today will be around that, because I think so many people, and this does my head in, are so worried about what they post, so worried about what they post that they're not actually engaging and building community and an audience that they can start to have a conversation with. They're so worried about putting their thought leadership out there, which I'm not against. Of course, I do it myself. But then what I fucking hate is they're not having conversations. And I think you are bloody brilliant at that. You are starting conversations, and that's building community and relationships.
So, I said I work for the university, right? I've only been at the university for a couple of years. Prior to that, I spent 15 years as a branding, innovation and culture consultant.
Yeah.
That's the majority of my career I've spent working as a marketeer or strategist, working with organizations, offering them clarity, insight and empathy, trying to help them sell more shit to people.
Yeah. That's what we're all trying to do. Let's be honest.
And so, it's a misnomer to say that I work for the university and I do that, but actually, but I trained as a designer. I was a terrible designer, 5 years at art college, and that changed the way I think about things. So I constantly question everything around me, because everything around me is constantly changing and evolving. So I constantly question it. So when I'm ranting on LinkedIn,
I love this about you, though. It's so good.
It's because I'm questioning what I'm seeing. I'm questioning the world around me, and what I tend not to do on LinkedIn is talk about myself at all. There's people go on there now and they'll find, but he's done this post, and this. There's a handful out there, but the majority of the time, I'm thinking, I've just woken up thinking about this, and I'm thinking about it more and more, and I'm going to learn this. I'm going to dig into it, and I'm going to share this, because I want someone to challenge me. I'm challenging what I'm seeing. I want someone to challenge me. So then when I see posts on there, it just triggers something in my brain and goes, no, I don't know.
That's not true.
That's not quite right, is it? That's your perspective on something. There is a bigger world out there, and I think you need to take a more macro look at stuff.
I love that. And I think it's so true, because everyone has their own perspective. And actually, there are lots of different ways to look at the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to read out my post, and I'm going to try and respond to your question, your challenge. Oh God, it's bloody gone missing again. Hang on. Sorry guys, but there we go. Now it's here. Right. So my post was, let's just position it. I guested on someone else's podcast and reposted the reel that she shared, which said, basically, my kind of point was, stop showing the polished version of yourself and start showing the shit that happens behind the scenes instead. Because if more people start to show the real crap and the behind the scenes stuff, the world will be a better place. All we want to do, if all we're doing is putting out the good, the brilliant, the fake, the not fake, but like the polished, perfect, but like this podcast, this is a polished version of a piece of content. I often find when I post content, if I do something on the fly, I spoke about this on the podcast the other day and said about being in the toilet. I didn't mean the toilet, but if I'm in my bathroom just recording something and it's not really planned or thought out, it's that more real content and it shows me just getting on with my day, that will probably perform better, even though the content probably isn't as good as something like this, because it feels more authentic. So that was kind of my point. Matt's response was, do you not think though, Katie, that this approach really does depend on the individual, their role, their target audience, their objectives, and a whole load of other things? Yes, by the way, I do agree with that. It's not cookie cutter approach that will work for everyone. Knowing you as well as I do, I can see why this approach works terrifically for you. However, I'm not so sure it would work for me. I very purposefully do not overshare. In fact, I rarely talk about me at all, as you've just said. And yet I think that people still trust me, and I do get leads, very good leads, from LinkedIn. It's not necessarily a gender thing either. I know a bunch of amazing women who don't talk about themselves, at least not directly, and they're absolutely killing it. It is an approach, but it's not the only approach.
And I stand by it. So I know from following your posts and knowing you as I do, and knowing how brilliant the growth you've done in the street agency, that this works absolutely for you. If I were the chairman of Saatchi & Saatchi, it would not work for me or my agency. If I were running an engineering company, it would not work for me or my agency. Arguably, if I were running an accountancy firm, it would not work for me or my agency. Or if I were a small agency that were working in the industrial gas and analytics world, that's not, you've got to read your audience and who you're selling to. And I think the reason it works brilliantly for you is you're a very people-focused business, right? Mm-hmm. So they want to know all of that about you. But if I'm selling widgets to a procurement person somewhere, that's the last thing they want to know. They don't want to know the ins and outs of my world. They don't, for me as a put my university hat on, we're selling research. We're selling in-depth academic research, peer-reviewed stuff. They don't want to know that I'm having a really shit day, that actually my boiler broke or this, that. They don't want to know any of that. And so and then I was in the bath this morning thinking about this conversation.
I love that. When we walked in, by the way, guys, I was like, I was thinking about you in the shower this morning, Matt. And then Matt was like, well, I was thinking about this conversation in the bath.
But I was there thinking, if let's say that approach is working and everyone sees that approach and everyone starts doing it, all of a sudden, LinkedIn is flooded with videos of people sat in their car talking about the crappy days, talking about all of this being super real and oversharing. And then it's harder and harder to find a useful thing on a platform like that. So if it applies to everyone, that was my cookie cutter thing, right? That if this is working, you've got to try this. This is how I get quite frustrated with the folks on LinkedIn that are selling, this is how you manage LinkedIn. If you have a clickbait headline and then a gap so that people have to click on it and open it up. So now the whole feed is done like that. And so those impressions are vanity metrics because you've drawn me in with that line, you open it up, oh, actually, this is a shit post, I'm closing it and going on to the next one. So it goes through like that. And it changes the nature of the platform in and of itself. Whereas if everyone at the other end of the extreme, if everyone was just going, here's something that works, here's a challenging, if everyone were like me, here's a contrarian thing, here's the thing that I've been thinking about, equally, it would be a really dull feed. It would be like just going into a library and reading a bunch of academic papers. So I think you need a little bit of both. And what works better, and this is, I spent years and years working for positioning agencies and businesses. What works really much, much better is, who is my audience? What do I think they need? What will get them the results? And they'll see me as the person that drives those results. And if you come at it from an audience perspective, and know your audience much better and know what their needs are and what their opportunities or problems they need solving are, then you can start driving more interesting content.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I also want to challenge you. Because I think, whether you're selling, I don't know, electrical circuits or whatever it might be, a lot of my clients are tech companies. So they're selling technology. They're not selling a service. I agree in the agency world, for me, it's more important for me to show my team, to show me, because people are going to be working with us to deliver something. So we're working together to deliver events, to create content, whatever it might be. So I do think for agencies, it's important to show up. However, the tech companies, I do think the same. And some of the research that we've done for clients shows that the thing that will help them make the decision, often the tech is very similar, but they will pick the people that are nicer to work with. So you don't have to show all of your, sorry, I can see you want to say something, but I'm keeping going. I know,
but this is what we have to do. I've got to stop you talking at some point.
But the whole point is, whether you're showing, and maybe that not totally relevant to this post, but showing up in a human way so people can build trust with you is important. And that doesn't have to be oversharing.
Absolutely.
It's got to be what works. It's got to be what works for you. But I do think.
But you're a business of a certain size.
Yes.
So you are the central focal point of your business.
Yes.
So when people are buying the street agency, they're buying Katie Street and her team. When people are buying a 30-strong creative agency, they're not buying the CEO, they're buying the expertise of the team. So actually, the CEO turning up and being real has no bearing on the conversation when it comes to what we're buying.
Well, same for the tech companies who've got hundreds and thousands of staff that we work with, like, Stripe or Shopify. They're buying the technology, but they're buying their account manager and the BDM that sold it to them.
So how many of your clients then are coming online and being real and oversharing? Well, where if they're these big tech companies.
Yes. So they can't.
No.
And I'm with you on that. Right. They can't overshare.
So it comes back to your personality, the size of your business, and the people are buying Katie Street, and you've named your agency the Street Agency.
Yes.
So it goes without saying that you should absolutely do that, and you should carry on doing that. And my point was, I just don't think this is the approach that works for everybody.
I'm with you on the oversharing bit. What I challenge and what we're really seeing is everyone's got to make their marketing more human. I mean, that's our kind of whole play for 2025, because whether you're
which is ironic when we see the flood of AI slop in the world.
100%. I'm so with you. But, people want to engage with people. Gone are the days where people want to, there's a reason that LinkedIn have launched this new video feed, which is all people-centered, people talking to camera, which I love. But anyway, we're going to have so many great conversations today. But it does kind of go against, we'll dig into that in a minute, but it's because people want to see and buy people. They want to build trust and engage with people. They don't want to just buy from an invisible marketing team with lots of designed content that they can't connect with as well. Now, I'm not saying there's not a place for that. There is a place. Insights, data, reports, I absolutely love. I learn a lot from them. But also, I think because of the world that we live in, and we've got children a similar age who, are engaging with TikTok, and they've got this, very short attention span. They're engaging with content. They've got an answer of something. The LinkedIn videos are under 45 seconds. The one that I had that went viral the other day, that's got like 1.5 million impressions, whatever, was
I wasn't one of those impressions.
I know, damn.
I've not seen it.
Rude. But that was 27 seconds or something. Like, literally, people want. We have no attention span.
Some people want.
But a huge...
I categorically do not want that.
Yes.
I don't want bite-sized stuff.
Okay, I like this. Yeah, well, that's your... when I read your content,
they're always long.
It's long, yeah. I mean, to be fair, a lot of mine is long, which is why I have to do podcasts as well, because I need to get it all out. But, I think there's a place for all of it, but we have to understand what's going on in the world, in that, people want information quickly. We've got shorter attention spans than ever.
Do you think people know what's going on in the world? I think we have a surface level understanding of what's going on in the world. But my issue is, and I suppose the reason why I don't like these short videos and I don't like the bite-sized stuff is because actually I really want to know what's going on in the world. And I can't get that from a 15-second soundbite from someone. What I can get is from a well-reasoned, well-structured argument or post or informative thing. Now, I like learning stuff. So when I'm going through LinkedIn, I'm looking for things where, someone's talking about the Stendhal syndrome, of people passing out because something is so beautiful, it overwhelms them.
I've never heard of this.
I know, right? But now you know about it, you're like, I need to know more about this. Yeah, so it's, this is where I learned about Dunning-Kruger, and I'm still fascinated by that whole thing, which is LinkedIn writ large. We think we know a little bit about it, so we'll post about it, and you're like, hang on, the surface level. You've not gone into any depth. And I'm fearful of where that takes us. I'm fearful of not delving into things, not questioning stuff, not understanding people's motivations. We'll eventually get onto AI, right? Because I
feel like we're getting there right now.
So the only people who appear to be making any money out of AI at the moment are the AI companies. So they've got a vested interest in getting everyone excited about AI. And no one's questioning that. We're just leaping headfirst in, well, this is wonderful. And then we talk about the efficiencies of it. So everyone's banging like, wow, this is great. We're getting all of these efficiencies. So, you get Otter AI to take your notes. So that saves.
I love Otter, by the way.
I know, and it saves you time.
Yeah.
Brilliant, amazing. And then you take those notes and you stick them into ChatGPT, and it formulates it. So, now I've got a really neat set of notes taken from this, a well-structured note, and that saved me all that time. And then actually, if I put it into Notebook LM, I can turn it into something I can listen to. So I've saved myself time. I don't even have to read it anymore. Or I could then take that, turn that podcast that Notebook LM's done, stick it into Midjourney or Pika or any of the other things, turn it into a video. Amazing. I've saved myself time. What are we doing with all this efficiency? What we have all this efficiencies that we've all saved, I'm assuming we're all working 3 or 4 day weeks because we've got loads of extra time. Or if we're not working 3 or 4 day weeks, perhaps we've got room to take on loads more clients. Or, okay, if we're not taking on more clients, perhaps we're doing bigger and better things for our current clients and we're charging more because we can put more money in, but no one's put their prices up either. So all of this efficiency isn't actually efficient at all because I've not done anything with it. So the only people that are making any money out of that are OpenAI or XAI or any of the other platforms. Because no one's questioning, what's my motivation for doing this?
I do think, though, if you look at it, I would say 2024 has been the year of AI. This year,
without a shadow of a doubt, but just the same as the year before was the year of NFTs, of metaverse, and the year before that was the year of NFTs.
I must say, AI, I think it's a different beast.
I think our focus is on the wrong thing. We're focusing on efficiencies. What we should be doing is taking this wonderful technology, and I am big fan. Might not sound like it, but I am. How can I use this to change my business model?
Mm.
You know, that Henry Ford, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they'd say faster horses. Apparently he never said that, but it's a lovely, lovely quote. The car didn't just replace the horse. It then started up mechanics. It started service stations. It changed the infrastructure of the world by putting roads in places. It created connections that didn't exist before. It changed people's business models. So it's not about that thing, the technology itself, it's the impact of that. So right now, we're focusing on efficiencies and we're worried that it's going to take our jobs and it's going to take the creativity out of everything. When actually we say, how can I charge for a different service entirely? So how can we take this technology of AI and use it to create a new business model? And right now, I don't see an awful lot of people thinking like that.
What do you think we should do then in 2025 when it comes to AI? Let's use me as an example. Like, how would you be thinking about AI if you were running my business?
I'd be thinking about, it comes back to your audience, to your clients. Understand what your clients need and want. It's about you offering the same service, but changing the way in which you charge for it. Changing the way in which you charge for that service. So, so lawyers are going to be going through this really fundamentally in the next 2 to 5 years. They charge by the hour. If all these efficiencies are coming in, then they can't charge as much because they're not taking as long to do it. Now, they charge such a whack by the hour because they've spent years and years and years building this bank of knowledge. So they've got to change their business model of how they're going to do it. I don't know what that might be. Do they create a subscription-based model? Do they... I don't know what it might be. But that's how we've got to start thinking about it. So I would imagine we should all be going back to a business model canvas. We should be sitting down and not thinking, how can I build my profit line? It's how can I change where my profit line comes from?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing for agencies, by the way, because we shouldn't be charging less because AI is helping us do things faster. We should be value-based. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But
and it's been the same pricing conversation for decades.
But this actually impacts it hugely because now we've got to change how we price because AI is coming in and it's helping us do things faster. The value and potentially what we're creating is even better because we've got these fantastic technologies that can help us improve what we put out if we use it correctly. The next thing that I want to talk about, well, it's kind of part of everything we've been talking about today, but is the importance of community. So of course, that's a huge part of what you're doing at Bournemouth University. It's also what you're doing at BIMA, but also I love how you show up online because you're having conversations, you're building rapport, you're encouraging conversations, you're encouraging people to actually think about what they're saying. And I think that's really important and often something that is lost because most people put a post out because they're, and they don't, I actually have, the broadcasting. And I've got friends who I, think are quite good at their jobs who I see this, they post and they don't respond to anyone who's commenting on their post. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to build an audience or are you trying to build community? Because one of my biggest things when it comes to 2025 is building community. It was supposed to be 2024. It was supposed to be 2023. But community... I've
been building community since 2012.
Yeah. And it is the most important thing because that's your, same in lockdown, I did this, the New World of New Biz webinar series, which became a community. We had hundreds of people dial in and join because they were going, what the hell do I do? How do I attract clients in this new world? We're all locked indoors. And I built community, in the agency world by showing up every month, by continuing the conversation, by building community. And I think that's going to be a big play for us for next year is how, where do we create that community? How do we continue to show up? How do we continue to help people?
So it's that showing up thing. So I've consistent, you've got to be consistent, right?
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
I define consistency slightly differently. I don't think it's turning up all the time. Constant. It's have a consistent reputation or have a consistent approach. I don't need to do a monthly newsletter, but the newsletter has to be of a consistent quality. I don't need to do a post 2 or 3 times a week. I want conversation. Community is about conversation. It's just getting a bunch of people in a room is not a community. A community needs to be engaged and you need to be talking and you need to be challenging each other and stimulating each other, inspiring people, but also questioning people. That's the power of a community, that you feel comfortable and enabled to have difficult conversations, useful conversations. So it's the consistency has to be my quality of approach. So, my consistency is ranty, contrarian bloke on LinkedIn. I'm consistently that guy. But hopefully, underneath that surface, I'm also consistently quite an intelligent person who doesn't do a knee-jerk response. I will consider every single word of every single post. That's why I don't like video, because I think a lot better through writing. So I will write something and I will spend an inordinate amount of time writing it because the pace of it, I want people to read it. I write long posts, as we know, but there's a rhythm to them because I've spent time thinking about the words that I choose.
I think you call out something really important there, though, around consistency, which is everyone thinks of consistency as just showing up. But it's not just showing up. It's about exactly like you say, it's your writing style, it's your tone, it's consistently showing up in a way that represents you, that shows your brand, personal brand, whatever it might be. It's showing up consistently in a way that is you, that is authentic to you, that feels right for you. And that's why you shouldn't be cookie cuttering and copying other people. You've got to work out who you are. And like when I write my posts, I write them like I'm having a conversation. I use often you'll notice in my post, I just get a bit shouty and I'll use I'll say certain words with because I really want to emphasize them. Like that's how I talk in real life. And that's how I talk in my posts. I don't try to show up in any other way than is me. And some people will like that and some people won't like that. And do you know what? That's fucking brilliant because I don't want to work with the people who won't get on with me because as a service provider and an agency, some people won't like how I talk or how I behave and therefore won't be good clients for me anyway. So
I show up as a version of me
on
LinkedIn. So, in person, my ego's massive and I will talk about me a lot. On LinkedIn, I try and take as many pronouns out of my posts as I can. In that first paragraph, I rarely use I, me, mine. I try and take out as much as I can because it's what I'm thinking about, not me thinking about it.
When I write a post, and I think there's probably some very good stats around this, I talk like I'm talking to a person. That's really important for me. It's not
every copywriter in the world will tell you, write like you're in a conversation.
100%. But why do people, the amount of shit, and even sometimes, within the team at Street, I'm like, no, guys, talk like you're talking to your best friend. Stop being so corporate. Don't use chat to write your stuff. You've got to talk like you're.
I write like I'm talking to my children, and my children hate the way I talk to them.
I love that. But that's the whole point. And it's the same with, the conversation. So this really fucking gets my goat. Gets my goat? Is that the right thing to say?
Yeah.
Gets my goat. Posting and ghosting. Like, what the fuck? Showing up, posting something, and then all these people are responding, trying to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And you don't fucking respond.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. So that I know that there's a rumor, because none of us actually know for real, but there's a rumor that in that first hour, the algorithm's watching you and it wants you. So I know people that will sit there and won't speak to anyone around them. They're like, no, it's the first hour. I've just got to, and they'll write a one-word reply. Thanks for your comment. Thanks for your comment. Thanks for your comment. I was like, that's pointless.
Still not a conversation.
It's not a conversation. If someone takes the time to respond with a sensible, intelligent response to what you've written, then it's courtesy to respond back to them with an equally intelligent, well thought through response, because it's about starting a conversation. If you walked into a room and shouted, blah, 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 here's my latest opinion, and someone comes up and says, well, I don't quite think, you wouldn't spin your back and walk off. You talk to them.
Yeah.
It's a social network. It's networking. So be interesting and then be interested. They're my two key. When I do work with the students at the university and we do networking thing, my number two top things are be interesting, have something to say, and if someone speaks back to you, be interested in what they have to say, because that's what we're buying. An award-winning full-service digital agency is the worst way you could position your guys at all. But an industrial focus who's got a clear understanding of the gas analytic work, we make the boring interesting. Bloody hell, you're going to get flooded with inquiries if you position like that.
I mean, this is something, a huge bugbear of mine. We don't work so much. Well, we do actually work with businesses to help it, certainly like startup tech companies still, to help them position themselves to market. But everyone has this lazy go-to approach where they talk about what they do. No one cares what you do. All they care about is how you can help them.
Yeah.
So literally just flipping and just talking, because when someone reads that going, oh yeah, I need help with that.
Yeah.
Like whether it's a campaign, whether it's your value proposition, whatever it might be, change what you're talking about from what you do to how you can help your prospect. And that is a fucking game changer. It's so simple.
So if again, back to LinkedIn feeds again. So if you look at mine, I talk about wide-ranging topics. There is no consistency to what I'm talking about. There is a consistency to how I talk about it. But what that's done is over the years of me doing this and being a consultant and working that space is people go, I don't quite know what my problem is, but Matt seems to understand a wide range of things. I'll have a conversation with him. All of my leads just came from can I just pick your brains about something? And so once they've picked my brains and I've dangled a carrot in front of them, and, well, we could do it like this. They're like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I needed. You've solved my problem.
But having those conversations, and again, taking it back to LinkedIn, commenting on other people's posts is a fucking lead gen strategy. Let's be honest. Like if I want to work with, I don't know, I'll use one of my clients, like the head of marketing for Contentful. They're one of my biggest clients, so I'm already in there. But me commenting when they post on their post and responding to it and supporting it is making me visible to them. So people that only publish and don't actually spend time on LinkedIn, learning, engaging with their prospects, commenting on it, it's the most basic obvious way to get you in front of your prospects. Engage with them. Like, why would you not do that?
My proudest achievement beyond my kids, my proudest achievement, actually, I probably like this more than them. Silicon Beach, the conference that I ran for the best part of 10 years. I started out at scratch. The way I got people from all over the world coming and speaking at this, some of the greatest minds in the world, I got all of them by commenting on their posts and their social posts. I started conversations with them. I was interested in what they had to say, and I had something interesting to say back to them. We started talking, and then I dropped in, would you like to come and speak at my conference? And they were like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. It was a lead gen thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, speakers.
Yeah, but it's true though.
It was a lead gen, but it was a human thing because I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah, well, you wanted them to come and speak because you thought they were fucking awesome.
And equally, if I want to go and work with if you're out farming for business, right, hunting for business, you go and say, I want to work with those guys. And so I'm going to understand what makes those guys tick. I'm going to be super interested in that. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to have conversations with them. They're going to realize that I know them, that I know what their troubles are. I know how to I demonstrate a way to solve them. I'm having a conversation with them and they feel like they can work with me. At no point have I sold to them.
Yeah.
Then you drop, perhaps we should make this more of an official thing.
Yeah, but it's a very good point, right? If you're engaging with someone in a new business conversation to try and work together, go and click the little bell on LinkedIn that will alert you of everything they post about, because you'll learn about their language, what they care about. Means a lot of people do just post crap on LinkedIn, so that you might not always learn that much, but you'll see what they're engaging with. You'll see what they're liking. You can learn so much about your prospects by just clicking that little bell and being alerted and spending time looking at, because even like from a proposal point of view, like using the same languages that they use, see how they like to talk, how they like to, like, there's so much, and people don't do it. They just go on LinkedIn to publish.
So there you go. You've just said, here's how you can change the business model. Then, with the efficiencies that you've built up, use that time to become a coach or mentor to these businesses that we're not selling you those services. What we're going to do is we're going to guide you, and we're going to teach you to do it better yourself. We'll become that indispensable right arm. Oh, and the added benefit is we'll do this stuff over here, but you're buying this off us now because that's intangible and is not time-based or efficiency-based, but you're using the techniques and the technology and the artificial intelligence or machine learning or whatever it might be to change how you're positioning what you do into becoming a coaching service rather than a lead gen service.
Matt, a huge thank you for coming on today. I feel like, we really did. To be fair, guys, we didn't really have a brief, but we did have a brief.
We did. It's a lovely detailed brief that your team put together.
Poor Mariana. We haven't used it at all.
So sorry.
We haven't used it at all, but we've had a great conversation, and that's
well,
the main
I hope
thing.
it was. I always wonder about this. That I hope me wanging on is useful to someone somewhere, and that use is, I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
that's if I've stimulated someone to go, then my work here is done, and thank you.
You definitely have. High five. Fab.